Welcome to the Hellbound Podcast. We've got a special guest. This is Cindy Stenberg from Sweden. Sorry, Cindy, I think my dog's just burst in. But yeah, anyway. So it's Cindy Stenberg from Sweden. Cindy's a fantastic filmmaker, writer, producer, and she's an award-winning filmmaker with Dreamcatcher and many other short films under her cap now or on her belt, whatever the saying is. Hello, Cindy. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Very happy. Released my cinematic intro today, just like maybe 20 minutes ago or something. So yeah, I'm feeling over the moon happy right now.
It seems like the perfect time to speak to you, actually, because it almost seemed that you needed a cinematic intro like ages ago because you've been producing and writing short films for such a long time now. And what was the kind of why now with that intro? Was it more official or?
Well, I started working on it when I created Uncanny Pictures in the first place. And I just felt like, well, if I have a movie company, then I should have a cinematic intro. So even if I'm not really, Hollywood level or anything, I just felt like I want it. So I'm going to try and get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So would you say you were working under other banners before, or was it always Uncanny Pictures?
How do you mean banners?
So, like you collaborated with like Swedish ghost lovers. What was did you think this was the right time to right, now I'm going to put a visual stamp to my company?
Well, I've always wanted to have more of a Uncanny Picture stamp, since people always assume that I'm part of Swedish Ghost Lovers, which I am, but not officially. It's just in which projects that I'm working with them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted something that's just Uncanny Pictures, and they can know that this is what Cindy's been doing, and Swedish Ghost Lovers is maybe not a part of that project, but maybe the next part and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart move. I think people looking at your content online and your upcoming shorts and films in the future, I think it's a real clarification about who you are and what you do now. Just because it's so fresh, I think it's the best thing to talk about. What was the kind of how did it kind of come to be, the actual design of it? Because it's from what I remember, it's almost like in the Amazon, but it's a swan and there's eyeballs that appear on the swan's neck. So can you tell me a little bit about the design? Was it through sketches initially? How did that kind of come to be?
Yeah, I'm going to make a video in a couple of weeks, more in depth with sketches and what I actually drew. But the first idea that popped into my mind was a swan on an eerie pond. And then I was like, well, the first idea must suck. So I just kind of scratched it and went forward. Yeah. And none of the other ideas were good or just that good. So I asked my friends, made some polls, and then, okay, well, this one is Uncanny Pictures. And I just wanted to have something with uncanny and horror tied together. Because uncanny can mean just regular things as well. So I wanted it to be, the point is taken that this is a horror genre, but still that it's wide enough so I can do different things too. But absolutely, a beautiful swan.
It's difficult because I'm going through a very similar process. I've just done a very quick ident for something I want to work on. And when I release this short film I've been kind of thinking about for a while, that's when I'm going to basically do a very similar announcement. And I thought, do I do something that covers corporate work and all these other types of videos that I produce, or do I go right full tilt down the horror genre? I think, I thought that's what I enjoy making. That's what I enjoy talking about, horror especially. So I thought my the production company is going to be called Jekyll and Hyde Productions, and it's a kind of play on the light and dark, and I've only got like an initial concept ident at the moment, so hopefully it'll get to the point yours is, because I think the actual design and the quality of it is really nice. And it's great that it's launched today to coincide with our recording as well.
Yeah, very coincidental actually.
So what's the first short that this is going to be in the front of?
I think that the
Or the
next
first piece
short
of
film.
work, yeah. Or the first piece of work, yeah.
Yeah, we are in the progress of making a new short film, so we are looking for funding and that kind of thing, and probably in that one. But I'm also currently sort of signed to do a feature, so it might be in the feature for the first time too. It depends which project makes it first. It's a lot of
Yeah,
money that you need to go and a lot of time to make these short films and the feature, so it
absolutely.
depends.
That's very cool, and I see there's I see it in the future for yourself that it might even get tweaked. Have you seen Ridley Scott's Scott Free? It's the bird and so I think someone's going down a cave and it's almost like a moving painting, and then it turns to a bird. You'll get to a point where it's just the swan, like the Nike swoosh. It'll just be the swan almost without the uncanny at some point. So it'll be interesting to see your merch that will be coming out as well to kind of follow suit with that.
Yeah, started to work on that today actually. So
Oh,
since I've
awesome.
been
Yeah.
getting all of the logos and that kind of thing. So I've been just kind of tinkering around with designs and see what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna, ruin me because it's so expensive. So
Yeah.
I want to be able to give my fans something that's fairly cheap so they can get something and I can get something without anyone,
Yeah.
getting too
Please.
poor.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you do a short run of merch, it can be really pricey. I asked you for 3 films that you'd like to talk about or to highlight. It can be old or new, anything you like, really. There's actually the episode I recorded yesterday with Balraj Kang, who's produced Mother Mortis, and he's just produced his first horror film on a really shoestring budget. He had a mixture of really old horror and new. So what did you kind of pick?
Well, I chose actually one is a TV series, but I chose The Servant, or well, maybe it's just Servant
Oh, is
by
that
M.
on
Night
Apple TV?
Shyamalan.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the next short film that we're making is highly inspired by that one, and I have chosen Vincent, the short film by Tim Burton,
Oh,
which
awesome!
my
Yeah.
next short film that's about to release in a month or two are very inspired by. And it's free to watch on YouTube, so it's just open for anyone to see. And the final one is The Haunting from 1963.
Is Vincent Price in that one?
No, he was on the House on Haunted Hill, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's sort of in the same family, but not really.
Yeah, in the same kind of period, maybe.
Same period. I think this is 63, and House on Haunted Hill, I think, was earlier, maybe.
Yeah, that's maybe even late 50s, possibly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first one I'd love to talk about is Vincent. Is that the animated black and white film?
Yeah, exactly. About the little boy, and Vincent Price is talking in the background as a narrator.
Oh wow, was that recorded? When was that recorded? When was that made?
I think back in the 90s, maybe.
Oh wow, so he would have been at the end of his career then, Vincent Price, for doing that. But
Yeah,
I guess with working with him on Edward Scissorhands, that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah.
what's the kind of premise of Vincent?
Well, it's about a boy who wants to, how to say, imagine something more exciting in life. Regular life is just boring, so he imagines in his mind very gruesome and macabre things.
Yeah,
So that together with poetry by Vincent is just perfect.
like a perfect kind of marriage of different things. That's great. I'll
Yeah.
have to check Vincent out. I remember seeing. I've got this really kind of clear image in my mind of the film, but I've never seen the short. But yeah, I'd love to see that. What were the other
It
two
was
again?
a Servant and The
Servant.
Haunting.
Yeah, I've not seen Servant because I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the filmmaker because early on, his The Sixth Sense was fantastic. I absolutely love that. And The Visit, is it The Visit with him? But
Maybe he did it, or do you mean Signs?
it's a Jason Blum film as well because Blum Pictures are an amazing kind of production company for horror. But it's about I think it's a mother and her two children go and see their grandparents in this really kind of secluded house. So it's kind of your kind of
Oh
cup of
yeah,
tea.
that one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't seen it. I saw like the trailer, and then I've just been waiting for it to come to streams. But
yeah. It's very similar to the interesting thing, you haven't seen it, but it's very similar in style to what you write and what you produce. So I think you'll really enjoy that one, The Visit. But yeah, it's very it's really unusual in a film like that is how human movements, very kind of when you see someone walking, you know how they walk, but when there's some sort of horrible movement in someone's walk, it's really very creepy and not human. And there's elements of that in this film. So when you watch it, I think you'll really enjoy that. It's quite
okay,
twisted.
yeah, it sounds cool.
So what's the Servant about? I've only ever seen like posters and trailers and things like that.
Well, it's about a family who gets a new nanny, and it turns out that the nanny is there to take care of a child that's dead.
Okay.
And so it's like a doll, a baby doll.
Right.
And the mother thinks that the baby is alive. So they kind of appear like the baby is alive when the mother is in the room.
Oh
And
wow.
it's just, I think it's called like a drama mystery, but to me it's horror. It's very
Yeah.
eerie and strange.
Yeah, I thought the same about the boy. The about the woman that goes to look after I think it's someone's child, but it's actually a toy boy. It's actually like
Oh yeah.
like a mannequin child thing. Um, but is there like justification in that film, in that series, for the person that goes to look after the dead baby to stay there? Because you and I, if that's your job and you go and look after someone's baby and the baby's dead, you would just want to leave straight away. So is that is
Well,
that is that kind of explained?
yes, that's actually a part of why the series is so intriguing, and that's because the woman, the nanny who comes, is very weird and peculiar in her own way,
Yeah.
and then she says to the dad, who's just like, "Well, you don't need to pretend that the child is alive when the mother is not there," and she's like, "Well, I think he needs to go eat," so she's just believing something that the child is alive. And I think in episode 2 the child comes alive.
Well, okay. Is that borderline fantasy then, or is it pure like thriller horror? Because that seems like a bit of a mix of genres, really.
It's very mixed, but it's very mysterious, so I don't really want to say much because it's part of everything. They
Yeah.
switch everything, like they think the mother is bad, they think the dad is bad, the nanny is bad, and then they switch around with all of these emotions and feelings in each season.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal writing and cinematography, and it's so beautiful. And I've seen it maybe 5 times or more.
Wow.
And
Was it seen as a mini series or was it a continue? Is it continuing? What's the current state of it?
I think they said that they wanted 4 seasons, I think.
Oh
That was the
wow.
deal. So they are now making the final one. So they
Oh
have planned
wow.
from season 1 to the end in one structure.
That's great. It's great that a show that you really like is supported that way because I loved a show on Netflix called The OA, and it's an amazing show about life and death and what it can you go somewhere in your own mind past when you die, and it's an incredible show. And it got cancelled after 2 seasons, and they left this after the end of the second season has probably the best cliffhanger in TV that I've
Oh
ever
no.
seen. And Jason Isaacs is incredible in it. Britt Marling is amazing. The cast is amazing, and yeah, I was incredibly gutted, but it's great to hear that a show that you love, The Servant, that's on Apple TV. Is that right?
Yeah.
That it's getting the real arc it was promised. That
Yeah.
4 seasons, and that's the thing with the OA. It was the head of production at Netflix said it's got a 5 season arc. We've seen the scripts, all the scripts for season 3, and season 4 and 5 are getting plotted out. And then a week after the second season came out, it was cancelled. So
I mean,
I was
no
just crushed. I was just,
dedication and everything.
yeah, exactly. So it's really devastating. And I find that's a bit of a trend now with TV, especially on Netflix, because there was a leaked memo about 2 years ago saying that Netflix aimed to give shows roughly 3 seasons max. And it seems to be quite accurate with a lot of shows like Altered Carbon and a lot of other big high concept shows that have got a really cult following, and they don't kind of follow through with it anymore. So it's good to hear that
Yeah.
The Servant has got that.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. It's good.
I'm just going to close my door because my dog's barking outside. 1 second.
Yeah.
The Servant. I'm definitely. I'm going to make a note of that because that sounds so twisted, and it's M. Night's kind of his cup of tea, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And I love the stuff that is made before. So, I mean,
Yeah.
either you're going to love it or hate it, but I think it's very, very good and highly, how do you say, high production.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like that's what I love about the Mike Flanagan's content. House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting of Bly Manor and Midnight Mass. I've not finished watching that yet. I've only 2 episodes in, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, it's 1 season. That's the good thing is, it's 1 big kind of season. So it's not like going to get ruined for me. So I can actually appreciate it. That's why I'm kind of put off some TV shows, because are they going to end it properly?
Yeah, you don't want to really put your soul into characters and then they're just going to leave you at a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And I mean, it feels when you felt everything for the characters and you don't get to see it be finished for any reason.
I'm really curious to know what your kind of writing process is, because obviously, you introduce your characters and that you take them on a kind of dark journey of horror. What's your kind of process for writing? What do you kind of start with? Is it inspiration you've taken from your life? Is it horror films you've watched? What's your kind of process?
I think it's very different. For most of the stuff I've written, it's mainly been, we want to make a movie, we have this amount of money, we have this amount of characters or actors, and I start writing. But the animation that's coming out in 2 months, 1 or 2 months, it was a poem I wrote at my job for like 5 years ago or 6.
Oh, wow.
And the next short film that I'm making with the kickstarter and everything, I dreamt the film and then woke up and wrote it.
Oh,
so
wow.
it can be all kinds of types that makes me want to write. Yeah,
it can be almost an image you see or a painting or something like that. Like, I'm trying to write a film about reconciliation between a daughter and a father who's passed away, but the fatherly presence is visually still with her, and she communicates with him. So I'm speaking to an actress friend of mine, and the cast, it's 1 location. It's in a car. It's on a place called Snowdon, which is an amazing mountain range, and the casting of the older father is kind of pinnacle to the film. So that's why I'm spending a long time trying to find the right person, because the actress friend of mine, she's been in TV, she's been in a couple of huge films, So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky process. And I wrote that film, I think it was about 10 years ago. It's a short film. It's only 5 minutes.
Mm.
And it's all shot around a car and whilst the car's driving. It's very much like, I don't know if you've seen the Tom Hardy film Lock, where it's just him in the car. The entire feature film with Tom Hardy is literally him quitting his job and going on a journey in a car. That's the entire film. And mine's a little bit like that, where it's just all set in one car, and the fatherly figure, the kind of ghostly presence, is in the back of the car. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tricky process making shorts, but yeah,
It sounds cool though. I like the premise.
Yeah, it's well, I've just bought some new bits of gear and all sorts. So, I want to shoot in anamorphic. I want to make it really cinematic, and I'm just trying to get the right people like yourself, work with the right team and get it made, because it's all well and good having it on paper.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets tiring to only have the file on the computer.
Yeah.
So you just, sooner or later I'm gonna have to start to do something about this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just get it out there, get working and learning.
So
Otherwise,
that poem you
point?
wrote, exactly. What's the point? What's the point of it staying on the page?
Yeah.
So that poem you wrote, did you say you wrote that a few years ago?
Yeah, at my old IT job back in Kiruna.
So when you read it back recently, or when it came back into your kind of mind's eye, did you think, oh, this has got some promise, this is really interesting, I should make something from this? Were you kind of, not to blow your own trumpet, were you almost impressed with what you wrote previously? Was it of interest to you when you reread it?
Well, some poems just stays with me, and that was one of them. So I saved the original papers and took it home, and I've had it here. And I felt that I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to make an animation. And then I figured, well, I love Vincent, like Tim Burton's. And I was like, well, I have tons of that kind of poems. And then I remembered that one, and that one is like a romantic horror comedy poem, and it goes straight to my heart. I just love it. It's quirky and dark.
Yeah,
so I just
that's very you. It's very you.
Yeah.
But that's great. I love that idea, and going back to something kind of previously. But yeah, it's quite an interesting process. How did you kind of develop that from a poem to a animation? Did you kind of turn it into a script? How did that work?
Well, usually you make a script, but this time I decided not to. I felt like I already had the script, so what I did was drew out a storyboard.
Oh, brilliant!
And
yeah.
then I just imagine hearing the narrator talking these poems in between.
Yeah.
But the animator don't need to have the text. He just needs to have the storyboard.
Yeah.
So I gave the storyboard and went from there.
And what kind of animation style are you kind of going for?
It's a black and white 2D animation.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that. There's nothing online yet for that, is there? Is it just kind of what kind of stage of production is that in?
It's in the final stages, so in a month or two it's going to be released. I have a few teases up on my Instagram already, like from my early sketches, from my drawings to the animator's drawings and that kind of thing.
Is that on Uncanny Pictures?
Yep.
I love your storyboards.
Thanks.
Mine, I'm not laughing at your storyboards. Yours are way better than mine.
Well, at least they work, but yeah.
Yeah.
The animator's style is better.
That's exactly it. The storyboards there. We're not all Ridley Scott who can draw amazing storyboards, so yeah. I think that looks great. I'm fascinated to see that because, yeah, that's great. I love the picture of that bin with the flies on.
Yeah.
But no, it's I'm really fascinated to see that.
Yeah.
Who worked on the animation for you? Is it something you did or is it someone else?
I hired a guy, I think he lives in Stockholm, and I've seen his previous work. I was actually initially trying to get him to do Uncanny Pictures cinematic at first,
Okay.
but it was going to be too expensive to do that and what he had for types of material.
Yeah.
So instead I went with the other company and they had Unreal Engine, so that was cheaper. But then this guy, his work is amazing, so I wanted to do something with him. And then I pitched this Our Love animation, and he loved it. And we have been working since, I think, November, October, maybe.
That's awesome. What was the kind of from your initial concept for the Uncanny Picture cinematic intro? How long from its concept to the final thing today? How long is that period of time?
I think I started with the designs around June last year, and then I contacted the animation firm around September. So almost a year.
Yeah. Oh, it's worth it. You must have been quite excited to release that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of projects like riling up or
piling up. Yeah.
piling up.
Yeah.
And so I've been anxious to release, but then also I've been like hinting about this Uncanny Pictures, and I'm gonna release it soon, I swear.
Yeah.
But now finally the day has come, and it feels amazing to finally show people what I've been working on, because it's such a specific type, so I can't really tease or anything because I will show everything. It's just 11 seconds.
Yeah. Well, as
So
soon as the eyeballs appeared on the back of the swan's head and neck, it was right. It's very horror.
yeah, good.
So yeah, that's nice and clear from like feedback straight away today on the day of release. Yeah, I love that. It's really high end as well. The quality is excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
So
I'm very happy with them.
So is that Red Row Visual Effects? Is that right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They have been very nice to work with as well. Like if I have a question, they answer pretty much straight away, and we have been going back and forth and tweaking and working. So it's been a very nice collaboration. And the next short film, we are hiring them as well as the VFX for that project.
Oh wow! And they're based in Sweden, aren't they? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what we'll do is we'll make sure that all of these kind of these links and everything are in the show notes for your episode. So that'll
Yes,
be
please.
great. Are you? This is a very selfish thing for myself. Are you going to be submitting this year to the festival?
I was thinking, yes. I have been looking out for the Hellbound, like We Are Open Now, but I haven't seen it.
I'm glad you said that. That's good feedback, because I posted something, I think, a good while ago on the Instagram, because that's our main feed, and the YouTube banner, Facebook, everything. So there won't be anything about the podcast on the Hellbound Horror Festival Instagram after I post about the festival. So it'll all be very festival heavy. But it's the 1st of August is the open submission day.
Okay.
So that's when films can be submitted. So the filmed freeway link will be updated and have all new content on. And then I'm going to release a trailer which is made up of little clips, which I think was it's the intro for the last festival, the actual event. So so yeah, there'll be more of an official announcement very soon. Just got to get past some work, and then and then we're going to be making announcements for that. So I'm really excited. It's a lot of work, but I think I'm going to do this every couple of years. I think that's the healthy option.
The main story, The Haunting of Hill House, all of those films are connected, and The Haunting is just another adaptation of it. But The Haunting from this 1963, how they shot this horror film is very inspirational. They use a lot of wide angles and new ways to bring forth horror in a house, and I think it was a deliberate choice to make it in black and white as well. and there are some scenes in that one that are very terrifying for that time. So it's inspirational and very good.
I'm just looking at some of the stills now. Oh my god, yeah. Some of these stills remind me of the film called The Innocents. Have you seen that?
It rings a bell, but I'm not sure.
So the Haunting of Hill House, I think it's that one. Is the Haunting of Bly Manor? I think it's the Bly Manor film. You know, the second Mike Flanagan series on Netflix. That's based on The Innocents, the British horror film.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you need to check it out. It's absolutely terrifying.
The Innocents.
Yeah, black and white. It's classic British horror. But yeah, The Innocents is a fantastic film.
Does it have like sequels, or is it just one?
No, it's literally just one film.
Okay,
An absolute classic. But the thing about the film, 1961, that's it.
Okay, yeah.
The cinematography is beautiful. It absolutely is beautiful. Is that something you think about quite a lot because about the cinematography itself, or do you kind of you think, right, I'll leave the kind of visuals to the director or the cinematographer themselves, or do you kind of have have you got a clear vision of how you want shots to look in your shots?
Since I usually do the storyboards for all of my projects, I have a pretty clear vision of what I want. Some scenes I am more like strict about, this is what I want, and some are more loose, and we can collaborate and see what would look better with the lighting and that kind of thing on set. But
brilliant.
The major stuff is there. The
collaboration is key, and I think you'll really appreciate The Innocents because the cinematography is absolutely amazing. I watched a film recently called I think it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's a Disney film. It's an old Disney film with Kirk Douglas and James Mason. But the thing about it is it's in CinemaScope. It's like real anamorphic. It's like almost like 2050 by 1. It's super wide, and I always kind of step back and look at how that's shot and how that movie's made, and they almost made sets to fit the frame more so than going into a location. But yeah, it's because the reason I mentioned the cinematography, it's very distinct in your films and very clear, and that's what's elevated your short films. It's not just the writing, but the kind of visuals and everything works very, very well for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, I'd highly recommend The Innocents. And on that, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Cindy. And hopefully I'll let you know. I'll send you an email about the festival. I'll send you a message as well. So
yeah,
I'll give you some more updates. But it's absolutely happening the 1st of August. And we had some art commission. You can see that on I think it's the Facebook banner. So it's all on there. And we had Alex Proyas give us a quote for the poster as well, which was really nice of him.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But he said,
Hellbound, speak with you guys a couple of times.
Yeah, Hellbound 2 is going to rock even harder. Don't miss it. So we asked him for a little quote for the poster, which is really fun. So
yeah, nice.
So yeah. So thanks, Cindy. We'll keep in touch, and I'll let you know when the episode is going to come out, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Hope to be back soon.
No, we'll be talking to you about the submission process. It's going to be super simple, and it can be. I think we're going to do something like anything between a minute and 15 minutes, and maybe have 2 awards for longer versions. I've actually had a couple of people ask if features are going to be submitted, but it's very difficult to do that because if we get a huge amount of feature films, it's going to be really difficult.
You got to watch them.
Got to watch them, yes. Yeah. Some are great, some are not.
Yeah.
But yeah, really nice to speak to you, Cindy, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.